The $14 million Montecito mansion just became ground zero for something Meghan Markle never saw coming. Former staff members, the ones who saw everything, are breaking their silence. And no, this isn't sloppy rumor or internet noise. These are specific, detailed accounts from people who lived behind those gates, walked those halls, and witnessed what really happens when the cameras shut off. And here's the twist that makes this explosive. What they're saying directly contradicts the carefully polished image the Sussexes have sold the world for years.
For their 2026, I might be asking more than I am answering.
No, that's fine. I can become Mystic Meg. Here we go. I've just got to get in tune with...
Meghan Markle's Archwell brand is said to be in jeopardy as it prepares to lose long-serving...
King Charles has sensationally evicted Harry and Meghan from Frogmore Cottage in Windsor, and reportedly...
Sources say Meghan's reaction to these leaks wasn't calm, composed, or dignified. It was volcanic, furious, paranoid, obsessive. She's reportedly scrambling to figure out who was talking. Because when you've built an entire brand on compassion, kindness, and humanitarian virtue, the last people you want speaking out are the ones who actually witnessed your daily behavior. Think about it. This is the couple who left the royal family screaming about privacy, who demanded the world respect their boundaries, who claimed they were escaping cruelty and control, who branded themselves as the authentic, emotionally enlightened alternative to palace life. And yet, their own employees won't stop talking. The walls meant to protect their sanctuary are cracking, and through those cracks, the truth is pouring out.
Organized their deal with Netflix in 2025. They are still in a partnership.
What's coming out now isn't just uncomfortable, it's destabilizing. We're talking about two very different Meghans, and staff said the gap between them is shocking. But first, let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie. Dozens of employees have cycled through that Montecito mansion in just a few years. Nannies, security, housekeepers, personal assistants. Staff turnover so extreme it resembles a revolving door on fast forward. This isn't normal. This isn't Hollywood normal. This is a red flag waving so hard it's practically screaming.
We're gonna see more as ever and new ventures from Meghan. I feel like yes.
100%. She is going to continue.
Every single person who walked through those doors and then left carried something with them. Memories, observations, experiences, the kind you only get when you see people before coffee, during arguments, in moments of stress, frustration, and rage. When you hire staff into your home, you don't get to hide. They see everything. The moods, the power dynamics, the silences, the way partners speak to each other when no one's watching. And the Sussexes had so many people coming and going that the trail of first-hand witnesses now stretches across Southern California. And here's where it gets even darker. Some staff started keeping detailed personal notes during their time there, not to sell stories, not to leak secrets, but to protect themselves. Documentation, insurance, a record in case blame started flying. Smart move, because now those notes have become something else entirely, a paper trail of what life was really like inside that mansion. Why speak now? Because these same employees watched Harry and Meghan publicly accuse palace staff of mistreatment while privately behaving in ways that felt deeply hypocritical.
They've spoken out after their charity, the Archwell Foundation, was declared delinquent in the U.S.
That hypocrisy broke something. When you accuse others of cruelty while allegedly doing the same, or worse, people eventually stop protecting you. Let's talk about privacy. That was the Sussex battle cry, remember? Privacy was supposed to be the sacred line, the reason for leaving everything behind, the justification for burning bridges. They bought a $14 million estate with 16 bathrooms, elite security, celebrity neighbors, California privacy laws, and a literal fortress designed to keep outsiders away. And yet, the leaks didn't come from paparazzi. They came from inside. The people hired to protect their privacy are now describing something they call the two Meghans. There's camera Meghan, warm, empathetic, polished. The woman who delivers speeches about kindness. The humanitarian. The advocate. The symbol. And then there's Private Meghan, the one staff encountered when the doors closed. According to multiple accounts, the difference is jarring. Temperature settings that can't be off by a single degree, ever. Food rules that change without warning, leaving kitchen staff scrambling. Personal spaces arranged down to the millimeter, with criticism waiting no matter how perfectly instructions were followed. One former employee said nothing was ever quite right. Even when everything was done exactly as requested, the goalposts moved. Perfection was demanded but never defined. fine. Failure was inevitable. But the real stories, they're not about pillows or thermostats. They're about mood swings, about watching Meghan allegedly lose composure over minor issues. A scheduling mix-up resolved in minutes met with an over-the-top reaction. A young assistant reportedly berated until they were visibly shaken, and then, moments later, Meghan turning around to record a message about kindness and respect. Let that sit, reducing someone to tears, then preaching compassion to the camera. That contrast, that whiplash, is what shattered staff loyalty. Former employees describe an atmosphere of constant anxiety, never knowing which version of their employer they'd face. Rules shifting without warning, criticism as the only consistent feedback. And this is where the image really fractures. This is the woman who built her entire public identity on empathy, who spoke at the United Nations about kindness, who positioned herself as morally superior to the institution she left behind. And yet, the people closest to her daily life tell a radically different story. And Harry? Staff say watching his transformation has been heartbreaking. The prince who arrived in California hopeful, warm, optimistic, slowly fading, replaced by someone withdrawn, isolated, unsure of his place in his own household. Staff noticed something chilling. Harry rarely speaks to his family without Meghan present. Calls monitored, conversations interrupted. Even when she's not physically there, she somehow seems to know who he spoke to and what was said. Employees describe seeing Harry wander the grounds alone. Quiet, lost, a man who gave up everything, family, country, military purpose, lifelong friendships, believing he was choosing freedom. And now, according to those who witnessed it, that freedom looks a lot like isolation. He watches royal events with something staff describe as grief, like mourning a life he left without fully understanding what he was losing. And every time he raises the idea of spending more time in the UK, even tentatively, it's shut down. Immediately. No discussion. No compromise. Behind those Montecito walls, the dream cracks. And this is only the beginning. What makes all of this even more disturbing isn't just the tension inside that mansion, it's how systematic it appears to be. Former staff said this wasn't a bad week, a rough patch, or stress from media pressure. It was a pattern, repeated, reinforced, normalized behind closed doors. And the deeper you go, the clearer it becomes Montecito wasn't a sanctuary. It was a pressure cooker. Behind the scenes at Arkewell, the chaos only intensified. Employees describe an environment where total control collided with zero progress. Every detail had to pass through Meghan, every font, every color, every word, yet nothing ever actually moved forward. Meetings dragged on for hours, sometimes days, only to end with decisions reversed the following week. Projects were launched, scrapped, resurrected, and then killed again. One insider described it as being trapped in a loop where the destination keeps moving. You can't succeed when the goal itself refuses to stay still. Staff burned out fast, long hours, constant revisions, personal lives sacrificed, all for work that would often be abandoned without explanation. And when things failed, the blame rolled downhill. When something succeeded, the credit went up, morale collapsed. And then came Hollywood. The official story about Spotify was creative differences. Insiders say that barely scratches the surface. What they witnessed were tense calls, raised voices, and absolute refusal to accept feedback. Meghan allegedly demanded complete creative control while rejecting guidance from experienced professionals. Notes weren't suggestions, they were treated like personal attacks. People in the room could feel deals dying in real time. Netflix followed the same pattern. Multiple pitches rejected. Projects deemed unworkable. Budgets unrealistic. Demands excessive. The Polo documentary? According to sources, a last-ditch effort, not a triumph. And that failure didn't stay professional, it came home. Staff witnessed arguments, not whispers, not passive tension, but open conflict, accusations, finger-pointing. Meghan blaming Harry's lack of star power. Harry blaming Meghan's refusal to adapt. Two people realizing their business partnership was collapsing while neither accepted responsibility. Financial pressure poured fuel on the fire. The deals that were supposed to fund the California dream slowed to a trickle. Expenses stayed high. Stress crept into everything. Moods, conversations, interactions with staff. Employees say the marriage itself began to fracture. Separate schedules became routine. Meghan in Los Angeles networking, attending events, months, building her brand. Harry staying back at the estate, alone, increasingly isolated. Separate bedrooms on certain nights became frequent enough that staff noticed a pattern. They didn't feel like a couple anymore. They felt like roommates, and the tension was suffocating. Staff say you could feel it when they were in the same room. No warmth, no connection, just logistics, cold exchanges, an emotional temperature drop that made everyone uncomfortable. Then came the most explosive fights of all, the children. According to multiple accounts, Harry and Meghan fundamentally disagree on how Archie and Lilibet should be raised. Meghan allegedly sees visibility as strategic, relevance, leverage, opportunity. Harry sees danger, media exposure, trauma, a childhood repeating itself. Staff say these weren't minor disagreements, these were full-scale confrontations, values clashing, futures at stake, fights so intense that people who witnessed them said they were among the worst arguments they'd ever seen between any couple. And through it all, Harry's longing for home grew heavier. Former staff say he talks about England in quiet moments, about friends he can't reach anymore, about the military, the one place he felt real purpose, about family members he publicly denounced but privately misses. He watches royal coverage with visible grief, like someone mourning a life they walked away from without understanding the cost. He's raised the idea of spending more time in the UK, not leaving permanently, just reconnecting, testing whether there's any path back to something familiar. Every time, it's shut down. Instantly. No compromise, no discussion. The door stays closed. Staff also described moments where Meghan openly dismissed Harry's opinions in front of employees, undermined him, contradicted him. One source described it as watching someone being diminished over time, death by 1,000 cuts. The prince who once commanded rooms now hesitated to speak, and it wasn't just staff noticing. Contractors, business visitors, service providers, independent professionals who had no reason to lie began telling the same story, the same tension, the same unpredictability, the same feeling of walking on eggshells. One contractor said their crew developed hand signals to warn each other when Meghan's mood seemed to shift. That's how volatile the environment felt. One wrong moment, one perceived slight, and consequences followed. Service workers, catering staff, delivery personnel. Multiple accounts describe dismissive, hostile exchanges that contradicted everything Meghan publicly claims to stand for. And here's the Hollywood detail that really stings. Some A-list guests came once and never came back. According to insiders, dinner invitations quietly declined. Excuses made. Word spread. The energy felt off. The dynamics uncomfortable. Watching staff get handled in front of guests made people uneasy. In Hollywood, social capital is everything. And if people actively avoid your home, that's not gossip, that's reputational damage. The Sussex social circle has shrunk. Former celebrity allies keep polite distance. Public smiles remain, but private support has cooled. Now the dam has broken. Former employees who stayed silent are reconsidering, watching others speak out, realizing their silence protected people who didn't protect them. What's emerging is devastating. A household in chaos, a marriage under strain, professional relationships burn, and a public image that doesn't match private reality. Authenticity, compassion, purpose, partnership. Every pillar of the Sussex brand is being undermined by the people who saw it built from the inside. And when staff speak, the ones who saw the unguarded moments, the contradictions, the behavior no PR team can spin, there's no easy way out. The fortress was breached from within. The walls have cracks, and through those cracks, everything is pouring out. The only real question left is this: can the Sussex brand survive when the people who live the truth refuse to stay silent anymore? Or are we watching the beginning of the end, not because of the press, but because of the witnesses? This story isn't over. It's just finally being told. Just finally being told. Just finally being told. Just finally...